Are you satisfied? Happy? Miserable? Are you looking for love in all the wrong places? It's time for the Michele Hughes Show, where we keep it real. Tune in daily and join our controversial topics as we talk about singles, sex, and men and women's issues. And now, the queen of relationships on the Michele Hughes Show, always keeping it real. Your host, Michele Hughes.
Well, I want to welcome everyone to our show. Yes, I'm Michele Hughes, and we're talking about single and loving it. Oh, yeah. Come on now, give it up. Yes, we're single, and we're loving it. And today, we're going to be talking about singles who are not complaining. And we are having fun in the process. And so we want you to join in tonight and listen to what we have to say. Because we do have a voice. Yes, we singles do. Because we are going to teach many of you how to live a very happy, victorious lifestyle as a single. Oh, yes, we will. So join in and you will learn some things that's going to inspire you as a single person. Tonight, we're going to begin the conversation with the person who's going to help us give you some information. Really, he's going to give you some stats concerning singles and how they feel, how there's been a change since 1950 to today. Eric Kleinberg, he is the person who we're speaking of. He has an article, it's a Q&A, I should say, and it's called America, Single and Loving It. He says that there's a trend where the New York University sociology professor, that's what he is, and author of the new book, Going Solo. He says that in 1950, 22% of American adults were single. Now that number is almost 50%. 1 in 7 adults lives alone. Half of all Manhattan residents are one-person dwellings. Elizabeth Well, the author of a new book on marriage called No Cheating, No Dying, asked the professor to help decode the singles boom and how solo living is exploding and becoming less stigmatized, and how it's a privilege as well as a liability, and how at certain points in the modern lives, living alone may very well be the more desirable state. Now, who would think that today, with singles sometimes, not feeling so good about themselves, who would think this is the better state? Well, Q&A starts like this. It says here that God says it's right there in the beginning of the Old Testament. And at the beginning of your new book, too, it's not good that a man should be alone. Do you think that statement is wrong? And he says, no, I agree with God on that one. My point is that we need to make a distinction between living alone and being alone. And there is a difference, living alone and being alone. Because just because you are by yourself doesn't mean you're by yourself. And that's what the Bible is talking about. Just because it's not good that a man should be alone, that's true. But if you can endure and you can take on that lifestyle, then you'll learn the attributes, the different qualities of learning how to stay single. And I think that's the thing that we're going to really horn in on tonight. I just want to take some of his interview and just give you just little tidbits on what he's saying about being single and what's not so good about being single. And it says here that there's still a fantasy used to be that we escape the family for collectives, and now the fantasy is that we escape the family to our own one bedroom. So why is this? That's what they're asking him. And he says, I don't think that's the fantasy. My point is that unlike 50 years ago, today we cycle in and out of different living arrangements. We live alone, then we live with the partner, we live alone again, we shack up with someone again. At certain points in modern lives, living alone is more a desirable state. And that is true. Today, our lifestyles have shifted. And I'm talking about, inside the church and outside the church. There are people living together and they go to church every day faithfully. And you think they're married, but really they're just shacking. And so you really don't know who's married, who's not married today. But the single person because they live by themselves. So they're not, you can kind of brand them and label them as being single. So, this is some of the tyranny in living by yourself. But he says here, I don't think that the fantasy, I think I read that already. Let's go to the next question that they're asking him. And it says here, should we be worried about this? Is this a bad sign about our collective priorities in mental health? He says, for decades, social scientists have been worrying that our social connections are fraying and that we become a society of lonely narcissists, or that we're not convinced. It seems to me that those critics are often nostalgic. And people can label you as being narcissistic because you're by yourself, you live alone, and what? That just means that you're not ready to get married at the moment. But it doesn't mean that you're going to stay by yourself. And it says here, you're married, talking to Eric. How does your life now compare to your bachelor days? He says, speaking of nostalgia, it's very hard to get private space. I have much less time for solitude. I go out much less. I have more responsibilities. When I lived alone, I had complete control over my social life. I could stay out as late as I wanted, sleep as late as I wanted. No one ever told me my shower was too long. Those are wonderful things. And so those are the differences in being single and being married. And so that's why we're saying, yes, we're loving it. We're loving our single days because we know one day we're going to take on that title of being married. But until then, we're going to stay single and we're going to love it in the process. So let's go on to Eric's interview. And it says here, many of your subjects are very critical of the institution of marriage. One calls it a bore, which maybe it is. Though, couldn't that charge just as easily be leveled at the single life? He says here, personally, I don't subscribe to that belief. I believe that there are certain things you can only learn about yourself if you're living intimately with another person. But you could also say the same living alone. See, it varies. See, some people say you need to be with somebody to learn more about yourself, and I say just the opposite. I say being by yourself is the most privileged time to get to know yourself in an intimate way, so that when that person comes, it won't be such of a challenge because at least you know who you are. Well, let's go on with some more questions with Eric. It says here, one question you ask is whether this trend comes from a positive or negative place. Are we living by ourselves because we've become self-centered, or who can't deal with anybody else? Or are we living by ourselves because we've become more free and adventuresome, and we rather choose to seek out others instead of having those others sitting in sweatpants on the couch? Well, he says, it's too early to say, but I came away feeling it's the latter. we haven't become so self-absorbed that we don't care about other people. What's shifted is that we've learned we have to know how to take care of ourselves. I agree with you, Eric. That's right. We have to learn how to take better care of ourselves in order for us, before we get to join with that another individual in the confines of marriage, then we have to learn who we are as an individual. I love that. Thank you, Eric. Okay, the next question to him is, you argue that society needs to get over stigmatizing singles, but you also write about an adult kickball league, which sounds a little childish. Are we, failing to mature, or is the social scene turning out as Helen Gurley Brown hoped when she wrote, "The single woman, far from being a creature to be pitied and patronized, is emerging as the newest glamour girl of our times?" He answers, Helen was right, but really it's both. Globally, 277 million people live alone. There's enormous diversity, and that's so true. See, I believe, people, that if we don't learn the intricate things that goes into developing your single lifestyle, you're always trying to figure out who you are and why you are the person that you are. And I believe that until we come to understand ourselves as individuals, we'll never find contentment within ourselves. If you want to find the peace that only God can give you, you have to ask Him how to help you to enjoy your single days. And I believe that the more you find out how important you are as a single, the more you're going to enjoy your single life. Well, I want to read an anonymous quote here. And it says here, single life is a life of a person who is not involved in any relationship. Living a single life is fun and challenging at the same time. Being single, you lead a life in which no one else drives your thoughts and decisions. A single life solely depends on the decisions you take and the choices that you make. Single life allows you to see a lot of friends and people and is free from any sort of commitments whatsoever. And this is so true. This is the great part, or the I would say the interesting part of being single. It gives you the ability to find out who you are. You have the freedom to do it with no one, as he was saying, he doesn't have his free space. That's what Eric was saying. He doesn't have his free space now when now that he's married. And those are the things that you give up. But hopefully it won't be a thing that you're giving up when you get married. It'll be a thing that you want to embrace, because now you understand that, okay, now it's time to embrace having another person in your life. But until that time comes, you have learned how to embrace being single, and you love it. It's nothing wrong with loving the state that you're in. I believe that it takes time to get to that point in life where you can truly say, I have gotten to a point in my life that I enjoy being single. That doesn't come easily. Okay, if anyone says it does, it doesn't. I was talking to a lady today, and she says, "Oh, Michele, I really have enjoyed talking to you." And I believe that what happens is that the older you get, you learn the pitfalls of life, and you learn to embrace the good things of life, and you take off. You just say, fooey to all those negative things that you had to grow through and learn through. Those things didn't come easy, but through it all, it helped you to become the person that you are today. Well, listen, we're going to go to a break. We're going to come right back because we have some interesting things to let you know that singles, we are loving it.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back as we deal with more heart-to-heart issues. This is the Queen of Relationships on the Michele Hughes Show, where we keep it real. Stay with us on the Michele Hughes Show.
Do you want to change your life? Unlock the secrets to making positive changes in your life with a free membership at makingaapositivechange.com. Take a chance on yourself. Join the Making a Positive Change community today by going to www.makingaapositivechange.com or talk to Dr. Bill directly at 239-349-2209.
It's the Michele Hughes Show. We keep it real. We talk about singles, sex, men and women issues. Come join the conversation on the Michele Hughes Show. Are you satisfied, happy, or miserable? Are you looking for love in all the wrong places? Well, tune in daily and join our controversial topics. She is the Queen of Relationships on the Michele Hughes Show. She keeps it real. Don't miss a show with Michele Hughes.
All right, that's right. Tell a friend that Michele Hughes is on every day, Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And you can email us at singlesexandsatisfied365@gmail.com. That's right. If you have anything that you want to ask me, you are free to email us because we are interested in you singles. You are our job. It's our duty to come here and inspire you. So tell a friend that we have a show that's dedicated to singles and singles only. And I believe that makes us feel important as single people. A lot of times when you hear your married friends talk, they're always talking about their husbands, their children. And I know some of you singles have children too, but some of us don't have children. And so we may have to brag on our cat or our dogs, our mother, maybe even, the turtle that you own. But, we're all important. We're all special. And I think that's the good part in having a show that's dedicated just to you singles. Well, I'm going to give you some quotes from people who really enjoy being single. So here we go, singles. Here's one, and it's by Autumn. And she says, you do have to find a person to lock your other half of your heart with. But in order to love someone else, you have to start with yourself. So that person that you're searching for is you. Oh, my. See, that is so good, Autumn. I really love that. That was a very good quote. That was really good, Autumn. Okay, let's go to Oswald. He says, being single is better than being in a relationship with someone who fills your heart with doubt. Oh, no. Yes, but sometimes that takes place. There are times that we're in relationships with people who they don't really understand how to bring out your best things that you love or to inspire you in the areas that you love the most. But they can give you a lot of doubts and sometimes a lot of things that you don't care to talk about. So we're sorry about that, Oswald. Terrible. Well, here's Karan. He says, single isn't a status, but it's a word that describes a person who is strong enough to live and enjoy life without depending on others. All right. That's right. When you're single, you do learn how to do things independently. Sometimes we have to be careful with that because when we join ourselves with another person, we have to remember that person wants to be a part of your life. And so we have to remember that independence that we have where we don't depend on other people, we have to learn how to enfold or bring into your life that new person that you have said now you want to join with another individual. So we have to always remember that once you get with another person, that dependency just on yourself, because that's all the person that you have to depend on, unless you're married. If you're not married, you're single. And so single people have to learn how to depend a lot on themselves. And so sometimes people can see that as a fault, but it's not a fault when you're in the state of singleness. It's just that every phase of your life changes. So as you develop and now you are becoming a part of someone else's life, that means that you're in a relationship with someone. Now you have to learn how to bring those qualities that you have into a relationship. That means now you have to share yourself. You have to share who you are. And so those are the challenges that I believe that marriages go through. And I think that because we don't talk about these things, we just think, oh, I'm in love, and then, everything's just going to fall off. If you've been single and you're not living with the person, so you don't know how they are every day, and so all you've seen them is when they came to your home, or you go out to dinner, or what have you, okay? And so now you're seeing them every day, 24/7. And so that the whole world changes around you. Your singleness changes. And I believe that's the reason why the divorce rate is so high. Because we don't talk about these issues. We don't talk how when you get married, things are going to change. That your whole persona, your attitude changes. Because now the attitude of singleness has to become a part of someone else's life. And so I hope I'm drilling this point into you. Because we know we're loving being single, but we're going to have to learn what it is to be a part of someone else's life too. All right, let's hear what this is Wendy. Wendy says here, I'd rather be single than to be lied on, cheated on, and disrespected. Now that's so true. No one wants to be in a relationship where everything is chaotic. I mean, chaotic. It's just terrible. Who wants to be lied on, cheated on, disrespected? No one should be in a relationship. And it's good, Wendy, that you ended that relationship, because that was not good for you at all. And so, no. We want to be single and loving it, and we don't want any disrespect. We don't want anyone lying on us. We don't want anyone cheating on you. No, that's not good, okay? Not good. Okay, let's go to Superman. Superman Pius says, just because you're single doesn't mean you're not good enough for anyone. Just means no one is good enough for you yet. That's right. That means that you haven't selected that person who you feel you are connecting with, that you want to settle down with that person and make a lifetime situation with that person. That means you're ready to go into marriage with that person. So until that time, you're right. They're not good enough yet. Okay, let's go to Sweetness. Sweetness says, single, it's not a status. It's a word that describes a person who is strong enough to live and enjoy life without depending on others. All right. I think, Sweetness, you are single and you're loving it. And it sounds like you have a strong attitude about what you believe, sister. Oh, man. It's something. Yes. Man, I tell you. Well, let's see what... his name is Lamb. Lamb says, the joys of being single. Do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, for whatever reason you want, and never have to justify to anyone. All right. Okay, Lamb, that's right. You don't have to justify to nobody when you're by yourself. Okay, that's right. Just you, God, nobody else, and it's just you. And that's why we're loving it, because we don't have all that other stuff on us right now. Singles, learn. If you don't do anything in your life, learn to understand the importance of living a single life that is enjoyable, loving, just filled with just the presence of God. And when God feels your presence, His Spirit, you begin to really find the importance of life. And I tell you, I have enjoyed. I don't think I could have been single this many years. there's no way I could have lived this long. I would have never thought I would have lived this long by myself. And I believe that the ability to learn who I am in God, it took some time. And I believe that everybody is not graced with that ability to stay by themselves for many reasons. He says you don't want to burn, you better go ahead and get married. Some of y'all know y'all got to have that sex. It ain't no need y'all joking. You need to go ahead and get married. I ain't saying I didn't need no sex. I'm saying God has withheld that, and He's given me the temperance to withhold myself until that Boaz comes into my life, okay? But some of you all, you had to do what you had to do. So I'm not condemning nobody. Just, on the same, don't condemn me for being single and loving it and having a joy in learning who I am as an individual, so that when that Boaz comes in my life, and I'm so serious because I feel like I'm Ruth, and Boaz, if you know the Bible, you know who I'm talking about. And so I believe that when we see ourselves as the Bible has already given us the ability to see who we are, if we read the scriptures and live what we are reading, it becomes a part of our life. And so, no, is it easy? No, nothing's easy. Nothing comes easy. But when you want it, it does. And I wanted change. I wanted to know as much as I could about living for God and living as a single woman. And that's why I turned down the marriages that I turned down, because I knew I wasn't ready for that. I knew that I would have probably been more of a burden on those men than a blessing, because I didn't know the things that I know today. Now I know without a doubt I'll be a blessing to the man in my life. And I pray that the man who comes into my life, he will be a blessing to me, because he would have gotten all those ugly things out of him, and he would know more how to please me because he has a relationship with God. And I believe that's the number one thing to anyone being single, is having a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. He will change your whole attitude about life and who you are. He will teach you how to become the woman of God that you are destined to become. And I believe that if we allow Him to, He will take that position in your life when you give it to Him. Well, I think I went off a little bit, you guys. Well, we're going to go to Mr. Rutledge here. And he says, being single is a gift. Take time to learn more about it and to enjoy it. You will find every reason not to be single again once you embrace all of its concepts with solution. I believe that. I believe what Mr. Rutledge is saying here is that once you really understand the gift of singleness, you won't want to go back this way, because now you would have found someone to give that all the things that you've learned in your singleness that you'll give to your partner, because you have learned everything that you needed to learn during that period of your life. And now it's time to embrace who you are with another individual. And that's why, singles, it's so important that you learn to love it now. Love being single. Enjoy your singleness. And I believe the more you enjoy being single, the more you will find contentment within yourself. Well, I'm going to read our last little story here. And it says here that leading a single life gets tempting and challenging when you see your couple friends at times. Loneliness and the ill feeling of not having a special person in your life can be very annoying and discomforting. At the same time, at an age, one does need to get into a relationship. Being in a relationship and getting married eventually is a biological need. Enjoy life as a single person, but embrace marriage when you feel you are ready for it. It is not healthy to have mental blockages about marriage. And that's so true. I will never have a mental blockage about marriage, because I don't believe this is my fate in life, is to be single for the rest of my life. And I believe that God gives you this time to embrace your singleness, to love it now, so that when you get married, you won't have all these feelings of, oh, I wish I was still single. Why marry him? That's why this is your time, so that you know what you're doing, so you'll select the right mate. You won't have all that excess baggage because you're single and you're loving it. Well, You guys know what we do here. We keep it real.
Thanks for tuning in to the Michele Hughes Show. Join us daily for more hot topics with the Queen of Relationships. Always keeping it real. See you tomorrow on the Michele Hughes Show.